Jacob Zuma spelled out what might have been obvious for us in an interview with the Sunday Times, published yesterday. I read out with some incredulity the breaking news. Well, maybe it shouldn't have been incredulous. Maybe it should have been entirely predictable that Jacob Zuma would have greeted the news that the ANC had finally said they were not going to re-look at his expulsion from the ANC. And it was perhaps entirely predictable that he would say he would use the ANC mechanisms to appeal that finding, and he might well go to the courts to appeal that finding as well. And why? Well, he wants to stay a member of the ANC so that he can become president of the ANC, so he can become president of the country again. And he does not want to be the president of the country as the leader of the MK party. He wants to be president of the country again as president of the ANC again. And I mean, it's hard not to laugh, but just about everywhere I go where people know who I am, the one question that they ask me about, well, there are two questions. What are the prospects for the GNU? Is it going to survive, and what might break it apart, which is more than one question. And then what about Jacob Zuma? What about the MK? Can MK survive Jacob Zuma's exit from politics, exit from the ability to practice politics? And, you know, MKP, EFF fold into each other, one cannibalize the other. And I don't have the answers, and I'm sure Professor Steven Friedman, I don't know, do you have the answers, Stephen? Good afternoon. Well, you're certainly better placed to better guess than I am.
Okay, John, yeah. No, I don't think he's going to become president of the country again. I don't think that the MK party has the power to break the coalition government. I think the only people who can break the coalition government are the coalition government itself. I think there's a long history in which people like Zuma, I mean, this goes back to Winnie Madikizela Mandela, people who are considered, to be firebrands, to be people who are not happy with the way things have gone since 1994, who feel it's not, change has not got far enough, for their influence and their support to be overestimated. And it happens again and again and again. I mean, the number of times I was told that, the EFF was unstoppable, it was only a matter of time, and we see what they look like now. The MK party, has no real roots outside KZN and bits of Mpumalanga. It's a one-man show, and the man's 82. To me, yes, there are a lot of people in politics who are not happy with the way things are going and don't want the ANC to be in coalition with the DA. But that doesn't add up to an MK party, which is really going to challenge for power, in any time in the conceivable future. And I'd have to say that, I'm skeptical that it will survive Jacob Zuma, because so much of it is a personality cult, so much of it is, the leader says this and the leader says that, I don't know what they do the day after he was not available. So, clearly they're there as a, as a challenge to the coalition government. They're there as an option for people who don't like the way things are going. But it's a huge stretch from that to start speculating. I mean, there was, stuff in the media again today about, can he get the majority, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we're way, way away from that. And I don't think we're ever going to get there, quite frankly.
What happens then to, I don't know what properly to call them in the South African context, because I don't think that MK is in any way a revolutionary party in the typical leftist sense of what a revolution against prevailing economic theory is. Maybe the EFF has something akin to a guiding ideology, which MK doesn't. As you say, it's a one-man party. So if the EFF is Julius Malema denying it again today, but it is diminishing. All of the election results showed that. Recent polls have showed that their support is dropping even further. So they're becoming less relevant. MKP has no real future beyond Jacob Zuma's connection with it. What then happens to that group of people who are looking for a home because they, in academic terms or in lived terms, want that kind of approach to governance?
Very good question. And look, just one point. I mean, you sort of, as would I, you sort of, scratching around. How do we describe these people and that kind of politics? It's essentially about the racial issue. It's people who believe that whites are still in charge and whites should not still be in charge. And when you say that there is obviously a room for that in our politics, and that there are enough people who feel that way for it to feature in our politics, you're absolutely correct. Where is it going to manifest itself? Within the ANC. And I think the real battle at the moment is not between the ANC and MK or the ANC and EFF. It's the battle that's going on within the ANC between those who support the coalition and those who oppose it. And that battle will come to a head at the next ANC conference in 2027. And to me, that's where the real action will be over the next 2 or 3 years, far more than what happens to the EFF and what happens to MK.
And what the result of that action might be, in other words, which faction holds sway at that next conference, is more difficult to predict at the moment?
Well, it's 3 years away. Yeah. I mean, a lot can happen. But I think that's where it'll be sorted out, because either you'll have an ANC which will pull out, and that will create opportunities for the smaller parties like MK and EFF, or you will have an ANC which will stick with the coalition, and then I think that coalition will continue to enjoy majority support.
Thank you very much to political analyst and author Professor Steven Friedman.